When you think about a team, a team that, let's say, has a very strong vision, right, and it has a very strong champion of that vision, and they want to use the lean startup right, and they want to go fast, and they want to test their hypotheses. How do you help them to come up with the 2 to 3 truly core hypotheses that they need to test?
It's a really important topic. Most visionaries are afraid of data. And they're afraid because most of us have been trained in some variation of a stage gate development process. And in stage gate, at each gate, you get trained to make a go-kill decision, they call it, right? You either proceed to the next stage or you kill the whole project. And so visionaries generally have learned that if they expose their idea to data too early, it can cause the team to make a premature kill decision. So the solution to that impasse is to have a built-in ahead-of-time commitment to iteration. No matter how bad the news is, we're going to keep trying to find some path to get us to our vision. And once you kind of really buy into that idea, then it makes it much lighter to say, well, now let's think about, given our current strategy, like what are some of the big questions? And for me, when I analyze a startup, I almost always think about 2 basic hypotheses. One which we call the value hypothesis, which is simply, what's an indication that a customer finds this product valuable? And it's not about 1 million customers find it valuable. It's not about gross numbers. It's not about revenue targets. It's about, on a per customer basis, do we have an indication that, for example, if a customer uses a product and then voluntarily uses it again, that's a pretty good indication that they found it valuable the first time. If they pay us money and that money is in excess of how much it costs us to make the product, or a product with positive margin, that's a pretty good indication that they find it valuable. That, though, can leave you just in a small business, and there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of startups are trying to grow to something bigger. And in that case, we have the second thing, which is what we call the growth hypothesis, which is, given a population of customers who find our product valuable, how are we going to get more of them? And we try to think about, how do we engineer that growth so that the actions that customers do help us get the next customer and the next customer and the next customer.
Well, I actually thought this was particularly interesting, the way that you look at growth, and I think sometimes the question we have to ask ourselves is, yes, we want growth, but we may be focusing on only one way we might get growth, as opposed to really comparing, the 3 standard levers for growth.
Yeah, absolutely. I call it the law of sustainable growth. And the law of sustainable growth is very simple. It just means new customers come from the actions of past customers. And as long as that's true, we can continue our growth almost indefinitely. Everything else, every other form of growth, publicity stunts, PR campaigns, Super Bowl ads, they are like a short-term drug. It's like trying to cheat the law of sustainable growth, and ultimately you pay for it in the end. So I really believe that startups should be measuring from the beginning and really focusing on that sustainable growth. And if you think about how can your past customers help you get new customers, I think there's really only 3 ways. 1, through paid acquisition, meaning you take the revenue you got from the past customers and reinvest it in, say, advertising or new storefronts or sales staff. As long as the money you make from a new customer is greater than the amount it costs you to get that customer, that so-called marginal profit will determine how fast that engine of growth turns, and the more margin, the faster the growth. A second way that customers can help you get new customers is by, viral growth. And when a viral product, a natural side effect of my using the product is that other people start to use it too. So if you think about a Facebook or a PayPal, every time I send money from one person to another, that second person automatically learns about the product. And in the third engine of growth, which we call sticky, the old customers are the new customers because they're coming back through some kind of repeat engagement. So for products that are on a subscription or where they have very strong network effects, so customers either can't or don't quit, there's a different kind of compounding interest effect you can get from that kind of business. So if you think about those 3 engines of growth, we call them paid, viral, and sticky. Those really are the 3 paths to sustainable growth, and startups really have to pick one to specialize in.